Hello, everyone. Cool, intimate crew. Really enjoying this. I want to thank everybody from 356 for hosting us, and thank all of you guys for coming tonight. We're here to sort of celebrate and read. The book came out in September, and we had sort of a launch in New York, but we hadn't had a chance to do one in LA. So Sara is here in town from New York, and I just thought it would be a nice opportunity to share this book with more individuals. So I'm just going to start it off. Also, I just want to, maybe I'll tell you more about Sara in a second. I'm going to do my reading first, which I'm reading from John Keene's annotations as more of a, I guess like a book that I was thinking about in relationship to some of the things that Sara's sort of cataloging and working through in her book. There are several texts that I think she points to in this book. This one isn't one of them, but it's one that I find works similarly, that she hadn't read yet, so I thought I'd share. So the section I'm going to read from is called Records, Accounts, Accumulation as Explication. The sun rose and the sun set, yet he did not leave the bed. Eventually you would come to rationalize these events as minor flaws of character. A clue, alcohol. Blue barge of our sympathies, float past the scene of woe. Melodrama substituted for melancholy. Holidays, folks buzzed and flitted about like fruit flies, yet as a child you lacked the power to shoo them. Inevitably, epithets would detonate upon the driveway's head, or a fist would soar through the air to its punch, but we grinned as if suspended gay lanterns through the outplaying of each episode. For we realized only twilight could ensure a dimming of the hubbub. Absent of all these kernels of drama, those occasions might have proven less festive, although the bitter winter months would have departed sooner. Easter, that Christian estuary, caps, scarves, and afros bloomed upon their heads like versicolored April crocuses. We took pride in showing off our newly made suits, which testified to our grandmother's artistry. Old shoes with their patina of brown polish, old socks where the heels had worn threadbare. The photographs document the changes in the family's sense of fashion, but reveal no more than a hint of the unraveling of its internal social fabric. Creditors calling night and day, complain and you might be blamed. On Thanksgiving, after Nana had cleared the turkey and the dressing and the turnip greens from the dining room table, everyone would gather to play Pokino. The grown folks gossiped and argued over bid whist or poker while we huddled before the primetime specials. Whatever you do, don't touch the cards in the kitty, a command that they learned to obey. No niggers, reneggers. The reviled and unschooled Mississippi types. Perhaps there are exaggerations that enhance the flow of a few of these stories, but each, on the whole, constitute a regime of truth. Fleur-de-lis. Needless to repeat, someone kept saying that the troops were coming home, though the news commentator's words contradicted this. A disproportionate number from that neighborhood crippled in combat. One still identified with him and wanted him to. If the number of your dependent children has increased during the weeks claimed, you must report to your local office to claim the dependency allowance. Around that time, they found lead in the wallpaper. Maudlin malingerers lingering madly. Consider images of Vietnam, the assassinations, and Watergate bear that fuzzy, bluish-white glimmer, since nearly all your recollections of that era's major events are but the residue of each evening's televised diversions. Despite the activism, the uneven terrain of history remains. The challenge, however, no longer to write the unrecorded story. What's going on? The Vanderfords, meaning Big Preston and Cleo, kept a pen full of beagles, the hunting dogs, which were loosed in that collision with the trailer. Marion, sleeping at the time like a cat in sunlight, did not even suffer a concussion. Accidents like epiphanies deplete one's store of metaphors. Panonica. Don't think you're getting away with something, because I know you better than you know yourself. So how were we, mere children, to respond? However, they polished off a jug of Kool-Aid by themselves and lay sick to their stomachs during dinner time. In other words, innocence, no sense, a nuisance. Blindsight rendered the story that he was beginning unreadable. Thus he settled for staging wars between his miniature militias. One's back is the stairwell of the attic of one's thoughts, or the pilaster shoring up one's shoulder eaves. And so in her elaborate mythology of action, if it was not uncouth, it was unorthodox, and if not unorthodox, obnoxious. And if it did not fit within this carefully constructed rubric, then it simply was not worthy of expression. Given this as your premise, you were lucky to continue down the path of literature at all. Turner Hall, Turnverein. And so, encased in each attempt to make himself heard, lies the aim to cite his personal development within the broader historical record. So I'd like to introduce Sara Knox Hunter, who's an artist and writer in New York. She's also the founder and director of Summer Forum, and she's working on an opera right now. Check it out. Oh, and post this. We'll have signed copies of the book available.
Hey. It's so nice to be in LA. I flew here yesterday, and there was like a fake blizzard in New York, so a lot of flights got canceled. So it's really nice to be here. And thank you, Martine and Rocket, for organizing this, and OOGA BOOGA for hosting me, and yeah, this is really great. And it's so nice to see a lot of people that I know here. Feels good. I don't do a lot of readings. I did one in New York, as Martine was saying. So this is only the second time that I'm reading anything from this. Yeah, I guess I don't have to preface it. I'll just start. July 24th, 1982, born in Bremerton, Washington. Very shortly thereafter, Doug and Cheryl Knox take me home to Carroll Stream, Illinois. Childhood. Why was I adopted, and where do I come from? Sit on a shelf in our house. Life. Wonder about where I'm from. Around 1986 to 1989, believe I am an adopted robot child, like Vicky from Small Wonder. Around October 1989, watched The Canterville Ghost and unsuccessfully tried to imagine the infinite for the first time. After October 1989, the door to my childhood bedroom remains open. 1990, write a spooky Halloween song for piano. Childhood, attend church and sing songs about living with God in heaven forever, stomach churning. Around 1990, review a piece of paper at the kitchen table that identifies what I am. Okinawan, Swedish, Norwegian. But at this point, I believe that Okinawan is Native American. Childhood. Favorite facts about myself include I'm left-handed, I'm Native American, I'm adopted. 1992. Learn about Biosphere 2 and relaxation techniques in Mrs. Lynak's science class. 1994, favorite book, Sphere. Around 1994, conduct research about Okinawan American Indians at the library, confused as to why it would have been spelled wrong on that piece of paper since the tribe is actually Okanagan. 1995, favorite book, 1984. 1995, hang a drawing of Coco Pelli from my bedroom window. 1995 to 1997, write poetry, play chess, and listen to Jagged Little Pill on repeat with my best friend Liz. 1996, asked if I am Hispanic during my freshman year of high school. 1996, believe I'm secretly the child of Madonna after I record myself singing I'll Remember at Six Flags Great America. 1997, favorite movies, Gattaca and Singles. Around 1998, I start speculating that I'm Japanese. 1998 to 2003, break up with my first serious boyfriend and get deep into Christianity. 1998, perform the first song I ever wrote, How Could You Do This to Me? I Thought You'd Love Me Forever, at the talent show. 1998, wear a dress decorated with Chinese characters to a dance. 1998, asked by a Hawaiian if I am Hawaiian. 1999, get a tattoo of the Chinese character because I think it means peace. Life, people ask, what are you? Ages 13 to around 26. People tell me what a beautiful, interesting, exotic mix I am. 2000 to 2014. Search for my biological mother online at least once a year. College, frequent the world music section at Borders. 2001, people say the music teacher at Moy Girls and Alderette and I look like sisters. 2002, learn that I'm probably Okinawan from a guy at school who is 3/4 Japanese and 1/4 Okinawan. 2003, write a song about infinity and perform it at a coffee shop. 2003, discover that my tattoo is actually the Chinese character for and. 2004, first memorable lived experience of extreme discomfort after being called exotic by a stranger at Starbucks. 2004, favorite book, 100 Years of Solitude. Post-college, slow fade from religion. 2005, get married. 2006, go to therapy. 2006, apply to grad school for opera performance. 2008, read Edward Said. 2008, go to grad school for literature. 2009, read Gayatri Spivak. 2009, biological sister creates a post on an adoption registry looking for me. 2009, read Donna Haraway. 2010, watch Battlestar Galactica while recovering from surgery to treat an infection from Bikram yoga. 2010, diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder. 2011, start summer forum. February 21st, 2014, find my biological sister's post while watching The X-Files. February 21st, 2014, hear my biological sister's voice. July 13th, 2014, meet my biological mother, father, and sister. 2014, get an Ancestry.com membership. 2014, go to therapy. 2014, finally realize that looking familiar is not a compliment. Early 2015, security guard in my building asks if I'm Egyptian. Mid-2015, security guard in my building asks if I'm Spanish. There is nothing to divide us if we do not exist. A parallel universe exists that is a facsimile of our own. We send out identical signals through the same wormhole in an attempt to make contact with the unknown. And though we receive each other's signal, we mistake it for an echo of our own. Scientists recreate the conditions of the Big Bang, and a new observable universe appears. A complex conversation begins among nations, political groups, neighbors, friends. Who owns this universe? Should we intervene in its development or not? Before anyone can make a decision surrounding this delicate situation, a group of Big Bang deniers breaks into the newborn universe in an attempt to unearth what they believe is a hoax. This event becomes the first in a long series of interventions upon the Earth's miniverse. Michael and I inherited our copy of Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin from Michael's Aunt Emmy, who died without notifying the family of her terminal illness. In the long history of things left unsaid in Michael's family, this is perhaps the most heartbreaking. Fern, Emmy's close friend and the executor of her will, told us Emmy had requested that Michael take the family heirlooms and whatever else he wanted from the house on Plum Island. She had recognized a kindred spirit amongst a family rooted in Southern values and godly virtues. We came home with said heirlooms, an iPad, some dance plates, a tarot deck, and a few boxes of books. It is often too difficult for me to visualize a probable or improbable utopian reality, even one set in a different universe altogether. I enjoy a utopia of the fleeting moment and meditate on an unimaginable utopia of non-existence. Le Guin chases after the distant shape of this imagined realness, experimenting with political and economic and social structures that creates possibilities for equality and legibility. She is absolutely heroic. I sobbed through Genli and Estreven's journey across the Gobrin Glacier. Looking back at the text, the content seems dry and matter-of-fact, a raw journey across uninviting terrain shared between citizens of two different planets. In this model of basic surviving, there is intimacy. In ice, there is connection. Identity neither disappears, nor are its differences subsumed by sameness. There is communication and empathy. Left Hand of Darkness embodies the best parts of Walking Dead and Soulknit's A Paradise Built in Hell. Sometimes the presentness of mortality provides an opening for otherness. What will happen when we achieve immortality and there is an eternity to be spent solidifying our stances? An alien species has been living inside our bodies for thousands of years, passed down from human mother to human child. Once the host dies and their body is buried underground, the alien awakens from hibernation and digs towards the Earth's core, where it joins its fellow aliens, living peacefully amid the hot temperatures of a liquid center. Upon the horrifying discovery of the aliens, humans swiftly respond. Our species is now grown in sterile labs to prevent alien transmission. All corpses are burned to the finest ash and then pressed into glittering diamonds, stored under lock and key at a high-security military base. They're digging a deep tunnel to reach the Earth's core, but are still unsure of how to preserve life at the surface and annihilate the alien terror. Helen Connor has 33 friends on Facebook. Aaron Smith posted on November 12th, 2011, that Helen, or Baba-san, died. This word seems to mean grandmother in Japanese, though a Google search for Baba-san yields few results related to grandmothers. Eugenia Onaha in La Plata, Argentina, comments in choppy English that Helen also went by Michie. I friend Eugenia and message her in rusty Spanish, asking for the photos she mentioned on Carl's wall of my great-grandfather in Okinawa. Some of Helen's friends and I share similar features. A few of us look exactly alike. I wonder how many of those other friends are family, or if friends are just friends. Tammy Onaha is very private, but her profile pic is an island, perhaps Hawaii. I find her name in an obituary for Charles N. Ipia Jr. in Honolulu Star Bulletin. Joseph Connor posted the photo, 1982 wedding reception, where Helen sits behind a cake, and I recognize the roundness of her upper arms. I wonder the exact date of the wedding and whether Helen thought about her granddaughter's absence from future family photos. Though our politics are very different, I am grateful for all of Joseph Connor's photos, and I wish he hadn't stopped posting on March 13th, 2013. Some people announce they're leaving Facebook, but then they come back, but he may no longer be alive to return. Aaron Smith is an overposter, but I am excited to learn that Helen had a recipe for sweet and sour Spam. I want this recipe so badly, but for some reason I pace myself when it comes to friending Helen's friends. Helen posted only one photo on Facebook on November 10th, 2009. It's labeled Onaha Brothers and Sisters with Nats Oshira, Kenji Onaha, Jen Sho Onaha, May Fallon, deceased, Eddie Onaha, deceased, and Hanai Higa, deceased. Debbie Onaha Lofgren asked when the photo was taken, and Helen commented 1999, but she appeared so much more vibrant here than in the pictures Joseph posted a short time later. There's a picture of Helen in a hospital bed on December 28th, 2009, though her smile makes me feel like the visit was short and uneventful. The man posing with her at the hospital is Kenji Onaha, but he's not on Facebook. Perhaps I could see more of Helen's photos if we were friends. There's no sure path to immortality yet, but doctors can now bring humans back from the dead. The world reels while the rich and powerful try to get a fix for their newest addiction, death. Ula Khan, third level, half-orc fighter. XL, female humanoid. Armor class, 16. Hit points, 12, 1d10. Speed, 30 feet, not reduced by wearing heavy armor. Sense, dark vision, 60 feet. Alignment, chaotic good. Languages, common, giant, orc. Background, outlander. Favorite equipment, great sword, and 10-foot ladder. It is trendy for the richest in society to surgically remove all of their fingers and transform their hands into flat, delicately rendered surfaces. The boldest among them conduct ritualistic ceremonies in which their severed fingers are crushed to a fine pulp and then discarded as a show of confidence in their continued future success. Their closest assistants only have 2 digits on each hand, the thumb and the pointer. But there is an entourage in attendance at all times, each with fingers that fan the entire hand, like teeth slotted in the gums. Artists paint elaborate works on the 4 surfaces of the hands, but the rich usually only want portraits of their favorite wine, relatives to whom they owe their successes, deceased pets, etc. The most political among the artists will sneak a finger into the shadow of the underpainting of a portrait. If they're caught, they risk ultimate humiliation, a beard of fingers attached to their face, which waves ceaselessly to passerby in frenzied desperation. Technology now allows for duplication through 3D printing techniques that replicate the entire body. While it is initially helpful to have multiple selves to complete a huge and complicated project, it is difficult to secure enough funding from investors to pay for the labor these other selves perform. Compensating one brilliant mind is more than enough, in their opinion. So, turns out, the other selves make only a fraction of what the original self makes. This creates friction amongst the selves, and they are unable to produce a unified front. The project that these selves were created to complete goes unfinished because the other selves demand equal rights and ultimately autonomy from the original self. The court sides with the investors and refuses to recognize these other selves as individuals in their own right. Any sort of infraction by one of the selves is a mark against the original self. The original self is responsible for getting the project back on track, or they can likely expect another suit for breach of contract. The original self, burdened by the project and these angsty other selves, testing the boundaries of their freedom, tries to remedy the problem by eliminating some of the other selves altogether. In a high-profile case, the court finds that the original self is indeed guilty of murder, which is punishable by death. After the execution, the investors seek out the remaining self with an offer to wrap up the project. The remaining self agrees, and the project is eventually completed. But to their dismay, the remaining self doesn't receive any recognition of authorship, since they weren't legally human to begin with. I saw the live-action Attack on Titan Part 1 alone at a theater in the East Village, then had a dream that I was walking through a tunnel into the rolling green countryside of Okinawa. I woke up and cruised around Okinawa on Google Street View, trying to find what I had seen in my dream. But most of the streets I saw that morning were covered with neutral shades of cement. It's not that I prefer greenery to cement, nature to human occupation. It is cement as a signifier of destruction and rape and murder, cement as the disappearance from collective memory of what came before that I resist. Part of me came from the there before the war, but that there is gone, and this there remains, along with American military bases that swarm like vultures occupying 2/5 of the fertile land. This is as inaccessible as unknowing. How's it going? Almost done. Okay. A global space tax is instituted to help finance space colonies as the world's response to the rapidly deteriorating conditions of life on Earth. Corporations quickly set up literal satellite offices and argue for tax-exempt status. Most of their profit is produced in the cloud already, which therefore makes them some of space's earliest citizens. This line of reasoning, plus anonymous contributions to re-election campaigns, satisfies members of Congresses around the world, and corporate tax exemption is passed with only minor press from far-left conspiracy blogs. With legislation in place, corporations now qualify for space startup grants and become the primary recipients of surplus from the new space tax. Meanwhile, work on the colonies slows to a halt after a major shuttle disaster caused by satellite congestion in Earth's orbit. We spent a solid 2 hours wandering around Nnedi Okorafor's Who Fears Death in our reading group of 4. The text is not complicated, but it's sometimes sloppy. Storylines are picked up and abandoned. Tough situations are resolved by a fantastical narrative thread or unanticipated bit of sorcery. And characters create unnecessary conflict due to moments of immaturity. The narrative weave is patchy and incomplete, the opposite of Station 11. But I couldn't help but love the protagonist, young sorceress Onyanesmu. I love her for the foolhardy mistakes she makes in her attempt to be independent and strong while resisting the flawless roles of symbol and savior. She is disrespectful to her elders and emotionally impulsive, disregarding rules and tradition and gender norms. In the world of Who Fears Death and our own, there is still no path that is perfectly proper that leads young women, most especially young women of color, to achieve the full manifestation of their potential. It is necessary to make a scene. It is necessary to be offensive because our very potential is still offensive to many. In the end, neither Onyanesmu nor the book achieves any type of perfection, but I'm not looking for the elegance of a mathematical theorem to describe human experience, since there's nothing actually elegant about being human. That's it. Thank you. Thanks.